All right, so we ended up last time talking about ecology. We're going to pick up right here on this phrase. I don't know if we covered it last time. It says energy in an ecosystem. Energy in an ecosystem, what does it do? Energy flows, while matter in an ecosystem cycles. It goes over and over. So energy flows. If I were to have a tilted table with water and there's dirt all over the table, and I were to pour a little cup of water, there'd be a lot of water at the top of the table, and by the time we got to the end of the table, there wouldn't be a whole lot of water. Because the water would be absorbed into the dirt. I don't know if you can picture that. Or maybe on a hillside, if I were to pour a cup of water, by the time I got to the bottom of the hill, there'd be very little water, if any, left. And that's kind of how energy, as it goes through a food chain, to an ecosystem, it gets less and less and less because organisms use up energy. While matter in an ecosystem go over and over and over and over. So a cow that its poop turns into fertilizer feeds a apple tree. Apple tree uses the elements, the atoms in that poop to make an apple. You eat the apple. Now those elements that used to make up the animal or the grass that the cow ate in its poop to the apple into your body, like the element. So it's not actually like you're actually eating feces, but you are eating the atoms that were in the feces. So because matter cycles over and over and over and over and over, it recycles. All right, let's go on to habitat. Habitat's where an organism lives. That's where it sleeps, where it reproduces, where it eats. So your habitat would be involve places like your home, school, where you go shopping, where you go for entertainment, things like that. So those are the places that you go to. That's your habitat. Your niche is how you fit into that habitat. So, for example, your family, you probably are not the person that makes the most money in your family. You don't bring money to your family. Now, you may help. Maybe you have side jobs or stuff that you do that helps make money, but that's not the main role. Your main role is probably washing the dishes or helping clean up or annoying your parents, stuff like that. That's your niche. That's how you fit into your family, how you fit into your habitat. So an owl and a hawk are going to have similar, they're going to live in the same habitat if they can, but they're going to have a different niche. Even though they eat similar things, they may eat snakes and rabbits and small pets, but they're not going to do that at the same time. The time that they're in their habitat, that they're awake and hunting, is going to be different. Probably owls tend to be more nocturnal. Hawks tend to be more diurnal. They hunt during the day. So their niche is different. They have a different niche. Animals don't. One species fills a niche differently than any other species. So even if it's a similar thing, like an owl and a hawk, they fill that niche differently. That's what a niche is. Let's get to this. Predator and prey. These are types of interactions. Now, if you remember, the definition of ecology is how it's the interactions. It's the study of interactions between living things and their environment, which includes non-living things. So some of those interactions are what we're going to talk about next. So let's talk about the word interaction. If somebody's hand interacts with your face, you might imagine if I said, hey, so-and-so's hand interacted with your face, that may have meant that somebody slapped somebody else, they punched somebody else. Maybe it's your parents that just kind of held your cheek, or your grandma that pinched your cheek. Maybe it's a king that got his hand kissed because he's the king or whatever. Like there's a bunch of different ways that interactions can happen, but there's normally contact. It's not something that happens from a distance normally. So one type of interaction is called predation or predator-prey. And you guys have heard this word before. A prey is the thing that gets eaten. So the fish, and you could use an example. And the predator is the thing that does the eating, the thing that does the killing and the eating. That's an alligator. So an alligator eating a fish. The predator is the alligator. The prey is the fish. But if there's a hunter, some guy goes out there and there's an alligator in the pond and they shoot the alligator or whatever and eat the alligator, now the alligator has become the prey and the human has become the predator. If that human goes on a trip to Alaska or goes swimming in the ocean and gets eaten by a shark or a grizzly bear, now the human has become the prey and the shark or the grizzly bear has become the predator. Just like with anything that you do that's good, whether it's sports or art or academics or whatever abilities or qualities you have, there's always somebody better than you. There's always somebody better than you. In the same way, the predator can almost always become the prey. There are some things where it's like, not many things are going to kill a grizzly bear, but a human could go in the woods and kill a grizzly bear. and a human could go in the woods and a grizzly bear kill the human. So there's always something that can eat the predator. Many times the predator becomes a prey, and the prey becomes a predator. Think back to the food web for examples. So we can look back at that. All right, this is an example of a predator becoming the prey. I'm guessing what happened here. I think this is a honeybee, and this is a spider, definitely. I'm guessing what happened is this honeybee got stuck in the spider web. Spider went over to inspect the honeybee, maybe to try to eat it. The honeybee stabbed the spider, and they both died. All right, let's get to another type of interactions. Here we go with symbiosis. Now go and write out symbiosis, and let me clarify what symbiosis is and what it is not. Symbiosis is a close, long-term relationship, or you could say association, between two or more organisms. So when some people use the word symbiosis, they're actually talking about mutualism. But mutualism is a type of symbiosis. Mutualism is a type of symbiosis. Symbiosis, there's three examples that we'll talk about symbiosis. One is mutualism, one is commensalism, you see number 2, and then on the next slide is parasitism, number 3. But symbiosis, again, a close long-term relationship or association between two or more organisms. Now, if you think about a zebra and a lion, typically zebras and lions don't have long-term relationships. It's more like they get introduced and the lion eats the zebra. It's not a long-term relationship. But the relationships that we're going to talk about in a second, they are long-term relationships. So mutualism, first type, mutualism. Again, this is what a lot of times when people think of symbiosis, they're thinking of mutualism. Mutualism is when both organisms are benefiting. Both organisms are benefiting. So imagine you and a friend, you both like each other, you both help each other out. There's a saying that, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So that kind of saying, that would be mutualism. And there's some really cool videos if you want to spend some time looking at these videos. Why do we need plants? You are your microbes, the bacteria in your stomach. That would be an example of mutualism because we can't digest food without them, and we give them food to eat. So we're both being helped. Commensalism, on the other hand, is where, again, one organism is being helped, but the other one just doesn't care. The other one just doesn't care. So this would be like birds following an elephant. Maybe an elephant stirs up something large in the grass and the birds eat it. The elephant does not care. The elephant doesn't care if it squishes one of the birds or if the birds aren't there at all. Barnacles on a whale, for the most part, if there's a few barnacles on a whale, there's no negative things that happen to the whale, and the barnacles get free transportation. A remora is the little fish that follows or gets either suctions to the shark or just swims along with the shark. The shark doesn't care that the remora is there. It doesn't matter to the shark, but the remora gets free food as the shark, because it doesn't have hands, it's fins. So as the flakes of food fall down, the remora can go and eat. So it's free food. These are examples of commensalism. And parasitism. This is the one that most people are familiar with. Parasitism. This is when one organism is helped and the other one is harmed. So examples of this would be like a tick. A tick literally sucks your blood and can give you things like Lyme disease. So it's causing us harm. It's taking our blood and causing us some harm, but the tick is benefiting from it. A flea loves dogs, and dogs hate fleas. Like they're enemies, kind of, I guess. That's the bad way of saying it. The flea is a parasite. We'll just use the word. It is a parasite. It's causing harm to the dog, and the dog is benefiting the flea. And this right here, this is called mistletoe. Mistletoe is a parasite to trees. It actually, kind of like a tick sucks the blood out of an animal. Mistletoe sucks sucks the sap, the energy out of trees. So let me go back one more time. Symbiosis is a long-term association between organisms, and it always has one that is helped. So if you were to draw smiley faces, mutualism would be smiley face, commensalism is smiley face, meh face, like straight face. Parasitism is smiley face, sad face. 3 examples of symbiosis.